Brandon out here coming to you from Owner's Acres here in Aurora. We're in front of our intercrop block where we've got our corn and milo, just a repeat of what we did last year. You'll actually see we're getting our heads emerging here on our milo, so we'll be pollinating here shortly. Crop stage wise, where are we at? A lot of our pollination is through, although we're still seeing some pollen shed going on. Obviously we have some longer maturity hybrids here, so you're between 1,750 to 1,815 GDUs, depending on when you planted. Typically what we're seeing out here now is a lot of corn entering into this blister stage. One of the important things now that we look at is pulling ears back, checking our pollination. We're looking for a missing kernel or two that might have been caused by an insect. We're looking for any twisted ears or any choked ears. It could have been a herbicide application that was too late. Or just some stress events. We've had some goosenecking, some lodging out here, obviously with the wind. So we're seeing those ears delayed a little bit on pollination. And so really it's a good time to just kind of start peeling back some ears. Don't get overly excited. These ears, you know, they haven't put any of their starches in yet. They're just getting started. So sometimes we can get too excited or feel like maybe the crop's not there. A lot of our yield is yet to be determined. This is really the fourth quarter where we put the hammer down on the crop if we've got a good looking crop. When we look at this right now we're just in blister stage. But if you look at your nutrient uptake curves, I've got a soybean plant here, and you'll see we're starting to get quite a few pods here. You can start to see the soybeans starting to form in these lower nodes, yet we're still flowering up top. But now's the time where we really need everything to start to align, to put those sugars, those starches in these crops and build this grain. And so what do we look at? There's a couple things. Number one, like I talked about, your nutrient uptake curves are really high. So obviously, hopefully we've got the nutritional program out here, both in our soil fertility plus what we've applied. We're still fertigating out here. We just put P-Max across this field, the Pivot Max product with NP and K. We made a couple trips last week and this weekend. We'll still put some more nitrogen on this corn crop here. Again, just trying to time it with those uptake curves. And then as we look at our soybeans, we're going to put some potassium, sulfur, and potentially some nitrogen on that crop just to finish it out. So trying to help this crop along. This is when yield's really made. We obviously want sunlight. Sunlight's going to be our key player here. Obviously there's some concern with the smoke and the haze in the air. We'll hope that goes away. That's really beyond our control, but it's something we monitor out here to try and determine our potential. So we'll be watching that. The second thing is the heat. We've got a couple hot days coming up here. Obviously we like the cooler nights so this crop can slow down. This is not the stage where you really want to push this crop. The more time we have for this grain fill, we don't rush this crop, the better. Again, beyond our control. A couple things that are in our control, obviously our watering, making sure we get plenty of water to this crop. We're at peak crop usage on some of this, on both corn and beans now. So don't short your beans, especially your soybeans now. As they start to fill pods, we need a lot of water. And finally, the last thing we're looking at is that nutrition, the fourth thing. Making sure that we're watching our tissue tests. It's a little late to maybe correct some things, but obviously we still believe in boron on the plant. Even though that's key for pollen shed and pollen viability, it's helpful to move some of these sugars up and down the plant. So what we're really trying to do here is translocate all these nutrients, all the sugars, all the starches in the plant to this ear, and fill this ear out. So there's a lot of nutrient, a lot of water flowing up and down this plant. And now we're really focused on getting it right here in the ear. We've built the plant, now we need the yield. So that's what we'll be walking a lot of fields, peeling back ears. Insect-wise, we've seen our Japanese beetles finally line up. It's been about a month-long war with those guys. Still seeing a little bit of western bean activity, some corn earworm. So we're watching them, and obviously some rootworm beetles still emerging. They go for about a month anymore. It's not just a 1 week window. So that's the insects. Watching our soybeans again, picking up bean leaf beetle, stink bugs, some stem borer still out there, so we'll be watching that. And then disease-wise, the big one that we all worry about is southern rust. It has been reported in a couple Nebraska counties and confirmed. One in southeast Nebraska, one up in Greeley County. So there's a lot of territory in between. I really expect a lot of cases to show up this week as samples get sent into the lab. It's safe to assume that if it's jumped that many counties, it's probably everywhere in between. So we'll be watching southern rust. The foggy mornings don't help with that, but also gray leaf spot. I know most of you have your fungicide applications either on or on the books to get done. We'll continue down that road and then continue to evaluate fields this week and keep you updated.